association with an associate of Krishna, who is a Bhagavat, that cannot be compared to anything else. Cannot be compared to attaining liberation, going to heaven, or martyanam kimutasisa. Those things which are meant for people who are going to die. Any kind of material benediction, which is for those who are martyanam kimutasisa. Okay, so we have like 4 or 5 minutes left, so we'll tell a short story that ties into this like a bow on the whole package. Martyanam kimutasisa. What are those things which are meant for people who are going to die? And what is anartha? So we're going to tell a story that ties into anartha and martyanam kimutasisa and all of this stuff. Okay, so once there was a sadhu, which is also sadhu tattva. Okay, there was a sadhu who was traveling, short story, and he was going like this, Mahadvichalanam, traveling to help people, to give them the Shreya. So he came to a kingdom and he went to the king's palace and he asked the king's attendant or like the messenger or the minister to have audience with the king. And the messenger went and gave the proposition and came back and said the king has no time. He said, the king has no time? What do you mean the king has no time? So again he went and he asked again a day later. They said, the king said, I have no time, I'm very busy. So he said, what does he want? He said, give him some wealth, give him whatever he wants. He said, no, I only want to speak with the king for a few minutes. He said, I have no time to speak with you, I'm very busy, my kingly duties. So again and again he went. Then he said, okay, give him 1,000 gold coins, just get rid of him. But he said, I won't take any money. So after he came for like 1-2 weeks, then finally he said, okay, let me talk to the queen. So the queen was a little more soft-hearted. She said, okay, I'll speak with him. So then he sat down with the queen. I told her, I have some very bad news for you, but also some good news. What do you want to hear first? She said, okay, tell me the bad news. Give me the bad news first, then the good news. So the bad news is your husband, the king, is going to die very soon. Very soon he's going to die. Okay? And she was very sad. Oh no, what's the good news? He said, the good news is I have something important to tell him. And if he listens to me, it's a way that he can be very happy after his death. So she said, okay, let me go talk to him. So he went and talked to the king. And the king hearing, oh no, I'm going to die, then he became eager to hear from the sadhu. Before that, okay, let's enjoy in this world. But martyanam kimutasisa, material benedictions are for those who are meant to die. So therefore, he went to the king and they sat down together. So the king said, okay, now tell me. He said, look, I've done your astrology. I understand your future. And you only have like a few days or maybe a week or 2 left to live. The king was very sad. He said, okay, so what should I do? Tell me the good news. So he said, okay, you've done a lot of punya in your life, a lot of pious activities. So after you die, you're going to go to heaven. That's the good news. You're going to go to heaven. And the king was like, okay, he was a bit relieved. But he said, but however, you've also done some sinful activities in this life, Pop. So in heaven, you've taken tax from many people. The king is always taking taxes. And if he's not spending the taxes properly, then this is disturbing others. So he said, you've done this to many people. So in heaven, as your karma for taking all this tax without properly spending everything, then many mosquitoes will come and bite you. He said, there's not so many mosquitoes in heaven, but for you, a few have been brought. A few are present there for you. So when you're in heaven, some mosquitoes will bite you. They said, don't worry, there's not so many, and we've made a mosquito net for you. They're making a mosquito net in heaven for you. But they don't have good practice making mosquito nets because they don't really need them. There's no mosquitoes in heaven, but for you, there's some mosquitoes. So therefore, they made a mosquito net, but they're not so expert there. So they kept one big hole by accident. There's a big enough hole for some mosquitoes to come through. And when you're going to rest at night with your mosquito net, mosquitoes will find that hole and they'll come through and bite you. So I only came to tell you this point, that when you leave this body, you should take with you a needle and some thread. Because they ran out in heaven. They're not good at this. They don't have the practice. Nah? So you should take this needle and thread with you. And when the mosquitoes disturb you, then you can sew this up. And then you'll be okay. So the king is sitting there like he was taking notes the whole time, Okay. He was taking notes. And then when he came to this point, he said, needle and thread. Then he was like silent. And then the sadhu finished speaking. He said, okay, you understand? And the king was like, yes. But then the king said, but. How will I take a needle and a thread? How will I take a needle and a thread? And the sadhu said, I don't know, you can figure it out, I told you. I told you so much already, you should be grateful. How do I take a needle and a thread to heaven? Do you know? There's actually a funny joke, okay? One man, he believed in God and heaven. So before he died, he had 3 close friends, a lawyer, a rabbi, and a priest. And so he told them, when I die and you put me in the coffin, I'm giving you each $10,000. And I want you to put it in the coffin with me so I can use it in the afterlife. He was like Egyptian people. They believe that you can take something with you. All right? So when he died, the friends met together after like a year. And they called each other, I want to meet, And the rabbi and the priest said, I had a bit of a guilty conscience. I was thinking that, this man, we were his close friends and he made us promise to give the money in his coffin. But we know you can't take anything with you after you die. What can you take with you after you die? So I only one said I gave $5,000 in the coffin. I kept $5,000. I gave it to the poor. I gave some charity. Then the rabbi was like, yeah, I have to confess, I also gave a few thousand in the coffin and kept most with me, and I gave it to a synagogue, And then the lawyer was like, oh, you guys, you promised him again and again. You call yourself his friends. It doesn't matter what you think. You've made your word. And they said, the lawyer, you're telling me as a lawyer, you put it all there. You're serious? He said, yeah, I wrote a check for the whole amount. I wrote a check for $10,000, put it in the coffin. He can cash the check if he wants to. That's up to him. If he wants, he can go to the bank and cash the check. I kept the $10,000, I gave him a check. Okay, anyway, the point is that how can you take anything with you after you die? So all these things the sadhu then told the king, look, all these activities you're doing, you're acquiring so much wealth, you're fighting and taking over other kingdoms, you're expanding your territory, you're working so hard day and night. But for what? Martyanam kimutasya, you're going to die. And everything you collect in this world you cannot take even a needle and a thread with you to your next life. You cannot even take a needle and a thread. So why should you work so hard for this? Instead of taking a needle and a thread, you're only taking pap and punya, which makes you continue in the cycle of birth and death in material existence, where you are suffering. Samsara dhavana lalita loka, in the forest fire of material existence. Whether you go up or down, this is like a Ferris wheel, where you go up, and then you come down, and then you go up, and you come down. But everyone is suffering to some extent. So you cannot enjoy by that. So all these material benedictions are only for those who are meant for death. Therefore, what did he do? He told him, follow Bhagavad Bhakti. Because only Bhagavad Bhakti can give you transcendental life. And Amrita, transcendental nectar. Amrita means a nectar, but what grants immortality. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, we learned a verse. Remember the verse? Neha bikramo nasusti pradyavayo navidite svalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahatobayat. Even a little bit of the performance of Bhakti Yoga gives you an imperishable result. Akshaya. It's imperishable, it's transcendental. And it frees you from all fear. Therefore, you should follow Bhakti Yoga. Because that can give you immortal life, can help you realize your swarup, your true nature, your true reality. You can go to the spiritual world, you can realize I am the son of God, Amritasya Putra. And you can attain your spiritual form, Janmadasya Yita. You can realize the self, Atata Brahmajigasa. All of that is possible through Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga Dahan. We should only follow Bhakti Yoga. Gaur Pramanande, Hari Hari Bo. Okay, so tomorrow we'll quiz about these verses and about these teachings. Okay? Gaur Pramanande, Hari Hari Bo.